They used to say, "When the heart is present, but the form is not, the form will follow the heart. When only the form remains and the heart is lost, the form too will fade." Ancient people spoke few words, but those words carried deep truths. They didn't just look at others with their eyes, they saw with the heart, because they understood. The face is just a shadow of the soul, and a shadow always follows the one who casts it. There are people who aren't born conventionally beautiful, but the more you spend time with them, the more radiant they become. Their presence draws you in. You can't quite explain it, but it's there. Light, warmth, grace. And then there are those with striking features, but after a few years, something starts to shift. The face stiffens, the gaze dims, something heavy settles in their expression, especially as they pass 30, when the outer self begins to clearly reflect the inner world. The ancients had a name for this. The heart shapes the face. And interestingly, modern science, from psychology to neuroscience, is starting to catch up to what our ancestors have known for centuries. Renowned psychologist Paul Ekman discovered something called microexpressions, tiny fleeting facial movements that flash across our face in just milliseconds. Even when you try to hide your true feelings, they slip out through your eyes, your mouth, the corners of your face. And whether people notice consciously or not, they feel it. That's why a fake heart always leaks through the mask. Neuroscience also reveals that the human brain is constantly rewiring itself. They call this neuroplasticity. What you think and feel over and over builds actual pathways in your brain. People who practice gratitude, compassion, and inner peace literally strengthen the parts of the brain linked to empathy and emotional regulation. And this reshapes not just the brain, but the way you speak, the way you look, the energy that surrounds you. In other words, when the heart softens, the brain changes. When the brain changes, so does the face. But here's something even more fascinating. It goes both ways. Studies show that when you smile, even a forced smile, your facial muscles send signals to the brain and your mood improves. Your mind starts to follow the shape of your body. Someone who learns to walk tall, to keep a gentle face, to breathe deeply and carry themselves with calm, eventually begins to feel calm inside, too. This is why so many modern therapy methods include posture, breathing, and facial relaxation. Public figures like Oprah Winfrey have shared openly about the deep trauma in their past. Yet when you see her now, there's a grounded warmth in her gaze. A strength that doesn't need to shout. Her healing journey is written all over her expression, her voice, her aura. But we don't need to wait for science to confirm what the East has taught for millennia. Buddhism says, all things arise from the mind. If we speak or act with a pure heart, happiness will follow, just as a shadow never leaves its source. A heart filled with resentment will see a bitter world and wear that bitterness on the face. A heart rooted in kindness shines through the eyes, the voice, the presence. Taoist philosophy reminds us, stillness is essence, movement is expression. When the heart is still, the energy becomes soft, the face becomes gentle. Those who live in harmony with the Tao, not fighting, not grasping, carry an ease that glows on their skin and in their steps. Confucian teachings emphasize self-cultivation and integrity. Sincerity is the foundation of character. When the heart is sincere, the face reflects it. True nobility doesn't need decoration. It shows in the tone of voice, the eyes, the way a person treats others. We've all met someone who wasn't beautiful by the world's standards, but whose spirit left a deep impression. And we've all met someone with a polished appearance, who felt cold, sharp, or exhausting to be around. You can't permanently edit your face with makeup or surgery, but you can light up your whole expression by tending to your inner world. So if you want your presence to feel lighter, if you want your eyes to carry warmth, if you want people to feel at ease around you, start with the heart. Start with small things. Let go of the need to win every argument. Stop replaying old grudges. Practice gratitude. Choose kindness, even when it's hard. When the heart is calm, the energy softens. And when your energy softens, your whole being becomes more beautiful. If you want a more radiant face, nurture a kind heart. If you want a brighter destiny, live with compassion. Start today. Because when you live with sincerity, with grace, and with integrity, that energy cannot be hidden. It shows up in the way you move, in the way you speak, in the stillness between your words. When your heart is light, your face glows. When your heart is full of love, your steps are steady, your voice feels safe. When you stop comparing, stop resenting, your entire presence transforms. Beauty doesn't live in the eyes, it lives in the gaze. Elegance isn't in the clothes, it's in the posture. And all of that begins with the heart. When the heart is upright, the form becomes aligned. When the heart is twisted, the appearance follows suit. A sincere soul shines brighter over time. A cultivated spirit carries its own fragrance. The thoughts you hold, the emotions you carry, the way you live today, they are painting the portrait of your future self. So choose a heart filled with love, gratitude, and truth. Because when the heart changes, the face changes. When the face changes, the path opens. A radiant heart, a kind face, and destiny follows. So, what do you think? Have you ever met someone whose beauty came not from their features, but from the way they made you feel? I'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment below and share your experience. Who knows, your words might touch someone's heart today.